All right, so today I want to share with you something that shocked me so much when I was first a new parent. So I had done a lot of personal work before I ever even became a parent. I would say, even from a very young age, I was very aware of feelings and mental health and relationships. And it took me a long time to understand everything, of course, as it does. That's what we're here for, is to learn. And I'm still learning. But one of the things that I found so shocking was that I felt like a really together person by the time I got married. I got married in my mid 30s and I had a full life at that time with someone I was newly in love with and a relationship that felt like it really had the legs for the long haul. I had good friends. I was taking care of myself. I felt happy in my body, in my soul, mentally clean. I knew what I wanted out of life. I knew who I wanted to be. And I felt like I was more or less being that person. And when we had kids, I really wanted children. My kids were very much asked for and wanted in this world, and I felt like ready. And then I've already shared with you in the very beginning of this podcast series about my oldest son's heart condition. And so even in my very first pregnancy, it was like parenthood just went, oh no, there's a whole other level of life here. And I suddenly felt so ill-equipped. It was like I was somebody who had been playing about in this shallow marina thinking, I know how to sail boats and I'm really great at this. And like, I love to do all these things and it's great. And all of a sudden, somebody had stuck me in the deep, deep sea. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm drowning. How's this possible? And it was like an identity break. I couldn't understand. Why was I flailing so much? And honestly, what felt like failing so much. Whew. And I think what I've come to understand over all these years is that honestly, I did have it together. It wasn't a lie. I had it together for the amount of pressure that I had. So in that life where I'm with someone and I can still wake up and go take care of myself and, go work out and come home and figure out what I want to eat and where I want to go, I was okay. I was great. But the moment that my life revolved around other people's needs constantly, where I couldn't, it felt like, ever put my needs first, and where the needs were so intense, they weren't just like, oh, they need me to, whatever, clothe and feed them. It was like, no, the needs were intense. And it put me into panic mode, into what felt like an emergency for so many years. And I really stopped thriving and I started just surviving. And I didn't have the skill set for the challenges I was currently facing. I was no longer in that marina. I really was now in the deep blue ocean. And my job was to see my people to shore. And I really didn't have that kind of equipment. I didn't have the support I needed. I didn't have the tools I needed. I didn't have the mind that I needed. I didn't have the habits that I needed. I didn't have what I needed to succeed. What I did have was drive and determination. I was absolutely committed to getting my people to shore. Nothing felt more important to me, both for myself, for my husband, and for my kids. And so I learned. I learned how to swim. I learned how to ask for help. I learned which help was actually helpful and which help just put more weight on me. And then once I did finally make it to shore, I understood. And it was like I was sitting there and I was okay. And I was lying there in that warm, hot sand, knowing how to swim through deep abysses. And then it occurred to me that there were still people in the abyss, that I wasn't the only person, that there were other people who were also going through this. My story was not unique. It was an age-old story that we just don't really talk about. And I suddenly found myself going back into the water just to help other people and help them make it to shore. And that is why I do what I do. It is why I understand so deeply the identity crisis that can happen when you become a mother or a father and suddenly find yourself as this incredibly capable person, feeling so unbelievably incapable, having a complete identity break, and having the most important job of your life all at the same time. I get it. I really do. And I want you to know that you are losing who you were to some degree, but you are gaining so much more. And once you get through this process, you will get back to who you were. Plus, you will have incredible skills. You will be so much richer and deeper and so much more capable. And I have found that empathy swells and kindness swells. And there's just something about going through this process, becoming the person that you need to be for your children and for yourself and for your families. It opens your heart to so much more. And I'm going to tell you some stories in our next episode so that it's not just my story that you're hearing, but understanding other parents and where they come in and what their stories have been. Because I think there's a little bit in each person's story that's just a small part of our own roadmap. I'm so glad you're here. I really am.